step in, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you step in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is equally as vigilant because it's a water sign and it's emotion. And of the three water signs, Cancer is the ocean, Pisces is the flowing river, Scorpio is the swamp. We don't swim in the swamp usually because we know there are all kinds of things below the surface, and it's very scary, and we don't, and that's what Scorpio is. Scorpio energy is going into the swamp. It's teeming. There's always something going on. And when it is your ascendant, you step into the world. So it's physics, it's the law of attraction. How I step into the world is what the world brings me to learn. And as I become more understanding of how I'm stepping into the world, I can influence and I change, hopefully, what initially may come. So, what could be very dark, because Scorpio is rebirth, Scorpio is transformation, death, rebirth. It's the taboo of the world. So, you stepping into the world can sometimes, I'm sure you've had people where you were frightened. You frightened them because they don't know what to do. This is like, because it asks you to look at your fears, it asks you to look at the shadows. But if we remember, the shadows of our mother's womb was dark and warm and inviting. There is comfort also in the darkness sometimes. And so Scorpio is always asking you, go in, get the light, and then come back, you know. And so that is Scorpion energy, and that's what you step into the world with. Now there's the water. So you've got water, air, and earth. That's how you're composed through. And so sometimes, here's the best news about Scorpio that my astrology teacher years ago taught me, because I have a stellium in Scorpio. Okay. Is when wherever Scorpio is in your chart, and I mean wherever it is in your chart, it's not allowed to be willy-nilly. And so as stepping into the world as a Scorpio means take the pressure off yourself. You are supposed to be interacting with them. That it is more fated who comes into your understanding. It's not willy-nilly. Oh, it's Scorpio. That's where change and transformation doesn't mean people like it, because whenever you do it, you're asking them to look at their fears. But it does mean it's a little, you want to pay attention to it. And one of the things Scorpio ascendants need to learn is a level of different discernment, to trust their gut, because some people just like that feeling of taboo, and you might get a lot of energy vampires that way, because they're just kind of attracted to the change, and yet their reaction sometimes is way stronger than it needs to be, because you've now their fear. They know they need to change, but they may recoil. Does that make sense to you, how life has happened?
Absolutely. It's changing isn't easy. And when you get caught up in the pattern, that's what feels good. And we don't want to necessarily lay it down. So being caught up in that pattern in the different experiences of my life will be challenging, but opportunities at the same time. So having an awareness of that helps so much.
And knowing that whoever is there is karmically there, not willy-nilly, takes some pressure off. That's on them as much as it is on you at this point. And of course, the law of attraction is I attract what I need, and when I become more aware, I can attract things that help me on my path versus, why does that happen to me? And people don't tend to have weak reactions to you. They either enjoy you or run screaming into the night. Can happen.
Well, and that is part of my journey.
Hmm.
I think a big part of acceptance, self-acceptance, and understanding that I'm not everybody's cup of tea or shot of tequila or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not a weak blend, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing about Scorpio that's weak. And with your stellium in Virgo, there's nothing weak about you in general because you're constantly, constantly vigilant. You are constantly either looking to change something, attracting it to you because you step into the world with that law of attraction. It's just physics. Or you have this other energy, even kind of knocking your sun out of the way sometimes to change the system, get the information, look at it. Um, and Virgo is very constant, just like Scorpio. So to have that combination means you're always looking, you're always changing, you're always evolving. And for some people, that's exhausting.
Mhm.
And even for you at times.
Oh, it has been exhausting for me. And because I didn't know how to care for myself,
Mhm.
it almost became the undoing of me.
And therefore, your North Node steps in. Your North Node, so I remember I told you you had really four players.
Yeah.
Your North Node is in Pisces, and Pisces is water, it's the river. It's always wanting to flow. It wants the rocks out of the way. It wants, to keep moving, to be looking, to search, and it also wears down. Lowest version of um, Pisces is suffering, and it's interesting because all our ascended masters came in this Piscean age to teach us we don't have to suffer. We don't listen. We don't listen, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and the highest level of Pisces is that ascended masters. I can rise and keep the flow going no matter what the other players are. We're still connected, but
Mhm.
that doesn't necessarily stop my flow. And that is your soul's highest goal. So while you're looking at all these pieces and getting all the little rocks out of the way, which, by the way, with your Virgo are bigger rocks, is how you see them. Um, Here in your is your Pisces, and it's this North Node, and it's in the house of the fifth house of joy, of creativeness, of wanting to be happy. But it takes you a while to get there because you're moving away from that Virgo energy in your South Node that is um, perfectionism and is always very harsh on self and always very, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're missing something. And here's your soul saying, I want you to learn to flow. I want you to learn to go above and have a freaking good time doing it, by the way. Keep it light, keep it. But our soul's lesson is our conversation, our story about how am I going to get there? What do I want it to be? What is my deep desire? And your soul's telling you, have a good time. It doesn't have to be heavy. It will take you, and it has taken you. My guys just said it's taking you a while to get there. You know,
Yeah.
um, and when you are the most harsh on yourself, it's just that activation is this is what I want to go away from and becoming aware. My soul is asking me to have joy and be creative and figure this out. It doesn't want me to get into the suffering of the Pisces, that I have to suffer to go ahead. It wants me to ascend and go, this is just all part of what we're doing you
Mhm.
know, and for as long as it has taken me, it's the road I travel. And so it wants that more ascended master's flow approach. And that is the story it puts you on the path of. And, you have your moon sitting there near your midheaven, though your midheaven is in Leo, wanting you to use that private energy to be able to find the little pieces to let go of too. Because that's the other gift of Virgo. What can I really let go of that is not helping my systems and my structures? And all of our understanding starts at a 3D level,
Mm-hmm.
then moves to a 5D level. So what before was perfectionism and OCD and all that stuff now is, oh, I can learn to let that little piece go. And this is important to me. So work on judgments for a person that has a North Node in Pisces is really important because that means you're moving away from that Virgo that's like this at you and trying to learn that I can let it go, that I am looking for a break from the past. And idealistically, I want to create the life I want at my very soul level. And it keeps pushing you on. And your moon is sitting there with this advancement in this conversation. You said, okay, but I want some ancestral understanding of this. I don't want to have to go through all of it. So you came in with Virgo, who's got a lot of those pieces, and your Venus is right there, also in that 10th house, working together in relationships. We will bring you relationships that advance you. And at some point, you'll be getting those advancements from more positive relationships. But initially, most likely, because we start usually with the lower vibration of a sign, those relationships will probably teach me in a much more way. And as I come to understand, I will be able to move away and advance in better relationships. So that's in that 10th house. So you can almost hear that story. Okay, if I'm going to do this, meanwhile, back at the farm, still in that house of creativity and stuff, you put your Chiron wound in Aries. And so Chiron, for people to understand, is your wounded healer. And I'm 60 years old, and so I use the word tape. But think of it as your digital recording in the back of your head that you come in with that is ancestral. You come in with it, but it's here to be a great teacher. All right. And yours is working in conjunction in the same house, different energy. With that, I want to flow. I want this joy. I want to create. Your Aries piece of it is the wound of self-image. So as I flow and joy and I create, I'm able to heal my self-image that I came in with the puncture wound in. And often the way we start to heal our Chiron and Aries is to have this tough exterior and seems like I could do anything and I'll say anything. But really, it's about a weakness to standing up feeling insignificant. And so having it work with this need to want the flow, this need to want to be able to rise above, allows it to become a tool. When this is activated, when my self image wound is activated, when I'm feeling blocked from being my authentic self, because that is the wound in Aries in that snap, I can learn to let go of the tough shield and encourage confidence and willpower in others. It becomes a tool for me. When it's activated, I know I can work with others on their self confidence, which heals my self confidence, which allows that flow to happen in a fun way. And it's not, I'm going to tell them what to do, it's I'm going to encourage them as I encourage myself. And then, of course, I'm now working with my advancement. My moon is happy. It helps me fill this in. I'm able to look at the details, see their details to process because I have this built in sun that's intuitive. Can you start to hear your story now?
Oh my God. It's just, yeah. And the way that you explain it in reference to the hero's journey makes so much sense to me
Mm-hmm.
because that is, again, the part of me that, like you said, OCD, understanding the details, understanding how everything fits, for me, is understanding the story of the human being, the story of the champion, the story of the hero, and how to honor that in myself so that I could teach others how to see that story within their life too. So,
And
wow.
and you were able to bring your relationships with that private side of you to access that information in that 10th house of advancement. And again, all your planets are over here working together in this kind of universal old age wisdom walk. But your wound is in the youngest of all the planets, and it's in I feel insignificant, so I'm going to be tough. And then I learned that that doesn't get me anywhere. I don't need to self shield. I need to help other people feel better. I need to get other people to understand what my soul is looking for is this flow, is to get rid of all the little things that get in my way so the flow remains. But you have the gift of Virgo in spades to be able to identify the little pieces, to change at a cell level, to constantly look for, I just heard him say, the dust bunnies. That's gone, that roll into our lives, you know, and be able to move them because they are only dust bunnies. They're light and fluffy and can go away, you know. And so, and this lesson is in joy. This lesson is in creative. It's in this fifth house. Again, is where it shows up for you. And when you're working with things that help people find their bliss, their hero's journey, you're on your hero's journey. And you're able to help them see the smaller pieces of it. So